Hello and good day, Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. We're here because we're on a mission to inspire other people to get outside and enjoy camping adventures such as we have. Today's guests are two brothers from the UK that love all things camping related. With the shortest introduction ever, please welcome Tim and Ade from Casual Camping Podcast. Hey, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Yeah, cool. So I actually have no idea how I heard about you guys in the first place, but I remember it was pretty early on. You were within a few episodes, and I went, "Hey, cool, that sounds interesting." And then you guys are just like clowns. You crack each other up all the time. So it was really a really fun listen because you literally spend almost 50% of the time just laughing, which is fabulous. Like at any time, right? Like it's always a good feeling of things, and it's obvious you're both passionate about getting outdoors and doing all the things. So tell us what got you into it. Well, sorry, I should mention you're brothers for starters. What got you into camping, and then how did you go, hey, we should do a podcast about this?
Oh gosh, the two big questions. So I'm Tim. And this one that will speak now is Ade.
Hello. It's just comedy based with both of us, isn't it?
It is. We it's probably easy if we do that the other way around. So if I give a bit of a quick sort of history of the podcast, really, and then we can dive into why camping, because that's probably a much longer conversation.
Okay.
We're just two brothers who we've been doing this now. We're in our third season, and before we did this, we just weren't speaking to each other often enough. And when we did, we were just always talking about camping and camping adventures we'd been on, camping adventures we wanted to go on, bits of camping kit we'd bought, and we just kind of said, you know what? Why don't we do a podcast and we just talk about camping? And we started doing it, but that enabled us. You know, it meant that actually we had to speak to each other every week, and you know that just kept us close in contact and kept us together really. And here we are in our third year, and we're still putting out a show every week. We finish our season kind of goes from the first week of February to the first week of December. So we take the rest of December and January off and relax, and then we start again. We don't stop camping then, because we do camp 12 months of the year. But yeah, that's kind of the history of the podcast. We're not sponsored. We don't do paid partnerships. We just like to shout out really quality gear and quality campsites and places that we've been. And we think that not being sponsored means we just maybe have a little bit more integrity than other things. It's but that's it in a nutshell, I suppose.
Yeah, I think Tim's been a little bit modest there. So he was the driving force between to start with, to say we should be recording this, because we did come off the phone every week just laughing about what we'd done, or as only brothers do, you know each other very well, so you can take and rib the other one a little bit more, and I think we both do that very well to each other. And you know, always came away quite uplifted that I've spoken to my brother, and we've also gone through all of those things that we both have a love for, like I say, mainly gear and where we're going camping and who you're going camping with and what kind of site it would be, which is something that we've been doing for 20, 30 years. We realised that we came to camping late. We weren't taken as children like I think some other people were, which I've come to realise, depending on how you were taken as a child, whether or not it was done well, some people love it, some people hate it. And for everybody that we speak to goes, oh no, I don't like camping. It reminds me of family holidays years and years ago. And we didn't have that. So we came to it in our 20s with our friends, and it was a way of socializing, getting out, having that peace that, you've got to put yourself out there in order to have those sunrises or that campfire moment and those things. So really, that's kind of what we talk about. And now that we're in our third season, it's about sort of that content of how do we progress it? How do we, make it interesting, not only for us, because I think we can yak away quite happily about what we're doing and what we might spend our money on or what we're updating our gear with. But keeping it interesting for our listeners, as well as being quite light-hearted, being really positive, but having a laugh is probably the main thing that we want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows out there, and there's a lot of people on YouTube and on social media where they do like deep dives into pieces of equipment, and they're great, and I watch those. We both watch those, but that's not us. where it's we like to keep it light. The reason it's called Casual Camping Podcast is because we like to keep it light-hearted. I suppose you could jokingly call us experts in experts in what we do, I suppose. But we've got a lot of gear. We were adding up the other day how many tents each of us have, and the different ways that we can go camping at different times. But actually, we like it to be light-hearted, and the show's light-hearted. And as Ade says, you can take the mick out of each other in only the way that brothers can, and we hope that comes across. We get good feedback from listeners, so I think what we're doing works. We certainly can't do it any other way, can we, Ade?
Well, no, I think one of our listeners did say to us, if you press the forward button for like 10 seconds jump, all you've got is a show of laughing. Without any dialogue. And I was like, are you not listening? But yes. If you need to raise a smile, I think that's a good thing. And we have had some great experiences over the years. I think we're having some great experiences with doing a podcast. It's quite a niche area. It's not something, there wasn't an awful lot of when we were looking at them, there wasn't an awful lot out there, and it's we're not going to be able to give up our day jobs, I don't think, but we are enjoying what we do and having that bit where we're not sponsored. I think those early episodes I was mentioning quite a lot.
I had to tell you to stop
we don't
asking.
have a sponsor, so if you'd like to sponsor us, and then really afterwards, we started to realise that our unique perspective is that you, without putting yourself in somebody's category of you have to talk well about their gear, their site or product or whatever it is, we can, we've set ourselves some rules. We're positive about things. We don't want to just disparage something. It's somebody's probably hard-earned sort of effort to go on there. But we want to try and be positive about it. We want to have a laugh and hopefully keep it interesting.
Yeah. Same to your point about wanting to be sponsored. There was a time where it's like, come on, somebody's got to sponsor us. Come on. And also with the not giving up the day jobs, you wouldn't be able to do your podcast because it's far too expensive to buy all that gear, to buy the nice microphones, to all that sort of jazz. Like, I actually have to do my day job in order to be able to do the podcast.
Totally. I think I came across your show when I was researching camping podcasts at the point when we were coming on, and I listened to there's not a huge amount of camping podcasts out there. There's a few. It is niche, But I got listening to your show, and of all the ones I listened to, and I'm not just saying this, yours is the only one that survived this long, and I've stayed with and keep listening to. I know. I can't help it. It is actually true, though. It is actually true. All the other ones have gone by the wayside because they were just a bit boring, really. And I love your show because it's just a really gentle show about getting out in the outdoors and being out, properly outdoors. You guys do it properly. You do expeditions and stuff like that compared to what we do. But but the way you talk about it is just really, it's a really gentle way of talking about camping, and it's a good listen.
We'll be right back.
You're tuning into Remote Trails Radio. Garrick, you have 35 seconds to answer 4 questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What are the collection of back roads in Washington that you can discover called?
The Washington Backcountry Discovery Route.
On the trail, what's a helpful hand gesture to give the driver you see going the opposite direction?
Oh, you got to give them the shakas.
A number of fingers for number of cars behind you. What are skinny tires called?
Oh, man, I got some of them. They're pizza cutters.
Which podcast is packed with overlanding advice, P&W gems, and outdoor stories?
That would be the Remote Trails Radio.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate that, man. That's why we do that sort of 30, 45 minutes episode sizes. It's somebody, I guess, once told us that it's a snackable size, and that's kind of what we want to do. I don't want people having a nap, because we've been droning on for ages and ages and ages. It's like, here's some cool stuff. Here's some cool people. Do the things. I don't get, as you guys do way better sort of gear reviews, because you dive into what works for you, why you bought that piece of gear, what it was missing in your kit in the first place, and then how it has played out. So I like that about yours. I did have a question. To the best of my knowledge, I don't listen to every episode of anybody other than us, because I have to edit it. To the best of my knowledge, you've only had one guest, and it wasn't terribly long ago. It was the fellow from Greenland.
Yeah, Hugh Thomas, who joined our. So we're on Facebook, and then on Facebook we've got a Casual Camping Podcast Facebook group, and which
is great, by the way. Just saying.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fabulous engagement. It's good.
It is great engagement on there. It is brilliant. But somebody else invited him to the group, telling him they thought he should join this group, and he started putting pictures of his adventures on there. So I just private messaged him and said, "Your pictures are amazing. Who are you? What do you do?" And thankfully he was quite engaged, and after a few messages over a few days, I just said, "Do you want to come on the show?" Because we're never going to go. Ade and I are never going to go to the Arctic and camp. We're never going to do that. We would love to do that, but the opportunity.
We'd love to do it, but realistically, there's an awful lot in the way to actually do that. But isn't that what YouTube's about? That you can sort of get your fix of somebody. You can see the ups and downs. I'm watching somebody AB camping at the minute who's just done 6 episodes in Alaska, and just seeing what somebody has to go through to do that, and I was like, yeah, great, I've done that in the comfort of my own home. I like to get out there, but either funds or other things that are prohibitive for some of those things. So it's piggyback along and watch what other people are doing and get ideas and see their kit, and it inspires me to go shopping, which it really shouldn't do, but and just things that might make that next experience, whether that's by yourself or with other people, better. I think that's the thing. It's I was listening to one of your you were saying Tim on one of the recent episodes that how to do all the firelighting and stuff. You just choose not to when you. And I think that similarly, we have blowtorches. I do like to know how to do all the other things, but actually, when needs must, it's cold, you're hungry. Let's get the blowtorch on it.
Yep.
It's just those things. So yeah. We've got some idea and we've got gear. Where I think somebody was saying to recent camping one, all the gear and no idea. I was like, I think we've got some idea.
Yeah, I think we pretend a good pretend, I suppose, is we do know how to light fires, and we certainly know how to use all the kit that we've got. It's but going back to your point, Tim, about guests. So Hugh was our recent guest, but we've done a few, haven't we, Ade? We had Lee Donald.
Now?
Yeah, we had Lee Donald, who went up Mount Everest exactly 12 months ago. So she's from Aberdeen in Scotland, and we followed sort of her journey. We actually had a GPS tracker link. So I woke up, bizarrely enough, at about 1:30 in the morning, and her GPS tracker was on the top of Everest, and it's just like crazy. And then 2 weeks later, she came on the show, which was brilliant. But yeah, we've had a few guests. We haven't had a lot. We're still, I don't know. I get really nervous about
interviews. We're still nervous of
everything. Yeah, I'm quite nervous today. You can probably tell. We've never been interviewed. This is the first time anyone's asked us to do this, which is so it's a new experience where we're used to just talking to each other and taking the mick out of each other. Adding other people into the mix requires an extra level of professionality that we might not have.
Yeah, there's also a lot of prep to it. There can be. I mean, when we do guest episodes, I write the sort of intro bio thing, so I have to know who it is, what I have to say about them. We used to do a whole like pages of questions and talking points and stuff like that. Now it's just like, I would hazard we've done 100 episodes with guests, so it's I don't even think about it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think for us, we have done questions. I think how we bounce off each other can be quite difficult when you add a third person into that we don't necessarily know that well. So when we find that there is somebody interesting who's willing to do it, then we'll put ourselves out there. But yeah, it's so far I think they've gone down very well. They're certainly not bombed as episodes, which you start to look at sort of trends in listening and who's listening, where they're listening, and how many downloads that week. But yeah, we're consistent with what we do, thankfully.
Yeah, well, you are. It's but that's why that your listener said you just push the 10-second and it's a laugh track. See, it doesn't matter what episode, 10 seconds, it's a laugh track.
That's awesome.
Do you guys find as well certain recordings, we come away from them and go, oh, that was a really good episode, and others where we've maybe not. We've talked and given a lot more facts and information about what we're doing, and we kind of realise, oh, actually, is that different? Is that drier than our usual one? So, sometimes you question yourself an awful lot about what your listeners might think, but, so far it seems to be working for us.
Yeah. Yes. Same time, it's a hobby. So I don't. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. We do spend time discussing it in between episodes, but the actual, like, you record it, it's like I'm done. I'm editing that. I'm publishing that. I'm done. It's a hobby. It's not my job. If it was my job, maybe like, nope, scrap that episode, or we're going to totally, chop it up in a different way. Mm-hmm. I take ums and ahs out. I take out if I sneezed or something. That's it.
Yeah, I do the editing, and I'm the same actually. I edit it as quickly as I can. I take out some ums and ahs or some gaps and things like that I've made a note of as we've kind of gone through. But otherwise, I edit it, I upload it. I'm kind of done then until it. We try to record earlier in the week, early on, sort of season 1 and part of season 2. We weren't quite so rigid, and actually we were both incredibly busy with our day jobs and our lives. We had quite a lot going on, and often it got to sort of Wednesday evening or Thursday evening, and we were recording, and our episodes go out on a Friday morning, 4 a.m. GMT. So it always meant that's a late night for me. I've got to edit as quickly as I can. To be honest, it's taught me to edit really
fine
quickly.
For me. I didn't mind it.
You could do all of this. I'm sure you just don't bother to learn it so that you don't have to do it.
No habla inglés.
Oh gosh. Oh dear.
Well, it's a good. I would say technically for sure, your episodes have gotten better over the years. I think I mean it's a learning curve, right? So you become
totally.
quicker at it, you become better at it. I know there was an episode where I spent, I think it was just about 8 hours just editing the audio. It was an hour and change episode, and it was so full of extraneous noises, and it made me crazy. And that was the one that broke me. That's when we finished off the episodes we had in the can, because we tend to record far too far ahead. And I finished those off, and we went on our first hiatus. That was the end of the 3.5 years, something like that. It was just crazy. Yeah, wow. It was too much. It was too much. I went, I'm going to burn out, and it's a hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby.
I love doing it.
It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun. You can't. If it stops being fun, you got to stop doing it. We've said that if it stops being fun, if it becomes an arduous task that we've got to do, then that will come across when you're talking. It's so you got to call it a day. It's at the moment, I turn 50 next month. I'm not sick of Ade just yet. I think we've probably got a few more years to go before I'm sick of it.
As I'm the older brother, I sometimes get sick of him, but with age comes patience.
That's it. Yeah.
Sorry,
no
money joke. It's comedy effect,
It's comedy effect. Oh, it's all right. You're the old gold retriever. I'm the young Jack Russell.
Nice brothers. So you guys get out a decent amount of camping. What's your favorite style of camping? Meaning spring camping, winter camping. Oh, you have a tent you like to use. You like to do it, cooking over the fire as opposed to cooking over the butane stove or what have you.
Yeah, well, and I think it changes. It has changed for me quite recently, because about 2 years ago I got my first canvas tent, and that. Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, whether it's more breathable as a fabric, but that has really changed how I view camping. So my favourite tent at the minute is a Robin's Prospector Shanty. It's a 3 metre by 3 metre polycotton tent. Got it really quite cheap, which is always a bargain. We're from Yorkshire, so chasing those savings, and just thought that would be different than the other tents that I've got. Winter is certainly my favourite time. We came quite late to stoves in tents, and just the difference, it extended that camping around the world. It doesn't get particularly cold here in the UK anymore, but it does mean that you can get out there and you can have a very good, nice, comfortable night in a tent. So yeah, for me it's winter definitely at the minute, and the use of those other things. If you're putting a stove in a tent, it's better to be cotton. It doesn't it doesn't melt in the same way that the other ones melt. Which I've had that experience, but not too good. Tried it with a synthetic tent, and there was too many sparky burns on that. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's poopy. That's an expensive lesson.
Like equipment that lets you down is dead to me after it lets you down. So I patched it and sold it. Got a cotton tent.
Yeah, I suppose, you know, we camp in all sorts of different ways, and you know, last week's episode was about hammock camping. I literally tried hammock camping for the first time last weekend. It's definitely something I'm going to be doing again. I had the most comfortable night's sleep I've ever had. I thought I was going to be really uncomfortable and it would be an awkward sleeping position and my back's not great and all of those things. I have to say I slept so well. So I will definitely be doing that again. But Ade and I don't know if you've got this term over there, but we class ourselves as car campers. So we load up the car. And if you take in the car, well, you may as well fill the car because you take in the car anyway. So we take a lot of gear predominantly. I certainly, you know, I will fill up the car. I've bought a bigger car to put more stuff in it, and put a roof rack on it just to get more stuff. But so we class ourselves as car campers really. So we can take as much stuff, because we talk often on the show about, you know, camping doesn't need to be uncomfortable. You know, you can take a lot of comforts with you, and by comforts, you know, we don't do electric hookup or anything like that. That's certainly not somewhere that we're thinking of going down. But you can take a comfortable bed. You can take a decent stove. You can make fresh ground coffee out in the field quite comfortably, and you need all those sort of gadgets and toys with you to do that with. So we load it all in the car and go off to a campsite somewhere, or campground as you'd say over there, and then get it all out and stay there for a few days as a bit of a base camp. But at the same time, you know, I've done solo, you know, hiking somewhere, camping, and done that on my own. My favourite tent at the moment is I've got two canvas bell tents. I've got a 4 metre and a 3 metre, and my favourite one really is my 3 metre. I'll call it my baby bell, because although it's a 3 metre bell tent, I class it as a one man. As a one-man set, because it means I can get a whole camp bed in it, which does take up one side of the central pole. I've got a wood-burning stove in there that takes up another sort of third, really, of the tent, or, you know, a quarter of the tent, and then the rest of it there is sort of a little cooking area and seating area for when the weather's bad. But it's a great tent. It also means that, you know, I'm over 6 foot. It means I can stand up next to the pole and put my trousers on and get dressed properly and actually stand up. I'm getting a bit old for dance.
Come on, you have to admit it. You have danced in your tent, haven't you?
I have danced in my tent once, yeah. But I you know, I've taken that winter camping. You know, it doesn't get as cold as it used to here, but it was -5 when I was winter camping in that, and I mean, you guys, you get loads of snow here. We don't get a lot of snow anymore. So I was chasing for years. I've been chasing a winter where we'd get enough snow for me to actually go camping and wake up with snow, and I did manage to wake up with a blanket of snow that morning. So it was great, proper tick off the bucket list. But
yeah, and I'm very envious still. I think the most snow that we have ever seen really was we emigrated to Canada when I was 13, Tim was 9. Spent a couple of years there with family, and it didn't work out, unfortunately, but we have great memories of being in British Columbia for quite a few seasons. So.
BC is gorgeous, man. Can't, if you're an outdoor lover, you can't go wrong in BC.
Yeah. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We were we lived in Crescent Beach, just south of Vancouver, and I don't have a lot of childhood memories before then, to be honest, because there was just so much stuff going on in those 2 years, and playing with friends, and particularly being on the coast, so there was just so much going on, on the water, fishing or anything. Those 2 years are kind of my childhood memories. Are all kind of made up of our time in Canada. It was epic, really was.
Yeah, maybe that's the influence of where we are now, Tim.
Yeah, maybe.
Because there was just some big spaces, and I just remember being outdoors so much. So maybe that's the thing of how do we get outdoors. The UK is obviously much smaller. I think you can fit France and the UK into just British Columbia. So so there's a lot more built up. We don't have the wildernesses. The right to roam is only in Scotland. Getting out there is a lot about campsites. It's a lot about meeting up with friends. It's getting that time together where you can meet up and sit around a fire and talk a lot of nonsense and compare your setups and see what other people are doing. I think the one thing that keeps us coming back is that just the brilliant people that we meet, people that have got a similar outlook. We went to bushcraft shows last year. Just the amount of people that are so friendly, that are so open, that stop by and just chat. And that's getting rarer. People, as they close down a little bit more, don't talk to their neighbours as much as they used to do and things. And yet, we find that with the camping community. Our Facebook group really runs itself. People put so much on there that, we're really, really grateful for that. And that is about inspiring others to get out there. And when you see somebody's out there like this weekend, you think, right, I wish I was out. Why am I not camping this weekend? The weather's great. It's, and I think that's the thing about trying to inspire to get out the following week or plan your next trip, wherever that is. And then some of those, like the interviews that we've done about Greenland or whatever, is there's people that are doing longer things and, doing more expeditions and getting out there on a longer journey. So.
Yeah, much as I would love to do that huge Alaska trip or what have you, I'm not Les Stroud. Like that's not, I do 8 days with our eldest, and that's I'm good. I know what my physical limits are.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do it. You mentioned the bushcraft show. Do you guys have do you have one show that everybody gets together at, or are there other shows that happen out there?
There's quite a few. There's one main one that thankfully is quite local to both of us in the middle of the UK. There are other ones that we've not been to, really. I think that was our first introduction to it last year, and it was just great to get some people that are showing really primitive skills and everything from butchering, hunting and fire making, the whole gamut of it, as well as a lot of knife stalls so that you can spend quite a lot of money if you wanted to. All the gear is there. So it really ticked an awful lot of boxes. And unlike any other show festival, everybody was walking around with a knife strapped to their belt, which was just really good. So yeah.
It was interesting, wasn't it? It's a side of the camping community we hadn't come across before, and although we've done lots of fire, you bought me a book, Ade, years and years ago on multiple ways to set fire to things and start fires. Sorry, not set fire to things, start fires.
Right.
It's there's a subtle difference,
Tim, isn't there?
There's a subtle difference there. So we kind of been into a bit of bushcraft without knowing we were into bushcraft, really, and then just through the show, actually, of meeting people through the show and some of our audience got us talking to the organisers of the Bushcraft show, and then we went along, and it was great actually. They're a really quite kind and open community who have all of these incredible skills and knowledge, and they just share them freely with you, and they just want you to know what they know, and it's quite a cool community of people. They are great.
We found the absolute same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody. Well, I think anybody that spends time like camping and soaking up that experience then becomes somewhat of a protector of nature, of that sort of experience. So anything that they can do to make your experience be even better, so that you continue to protect that thing that we all love to do, it's a win for everybody. Yeah. So that's kind of what my take on what the underlying philosophy of why everybody's so open, why they share all their knowledge and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
if they get you
agree.
excited about knives, if they get you excited about knives, you'll buy a more expensive one from them.
Totally.
Yes. It's on my list.
I just bought a safety knife for on my PFD. So
yeah, interesting that you say you know your limits about when what's comfortable for you when you're out there, and we've spent quite a few shows revisiting that. I think one of our best shows was First Time Camping. It was certainly one of the most downloaded for us, which is talking about our experiences of not overestimating yourself. Don't go, right, first time I'm off camping, I'm going to go for 7 days, hella high water. Ease into it, make sure that you've got the gear. You don't have to buy the gear, you could borrow the gear, you could go with somebody, or just don't sort of put yourself off before you've even started with it. And I think that's the thing. I love camping, but I know I have my limits too. I'd like to experience more different ways. I'm certainly going to have a go at hammock camping, but I would also, know how long I can go for. And yeah, I'm sort of with you there. About 7-8 days is about my tolerance, really.
Yeah, same here. And we've got a camping trip at the end of this month. We're going up to Northumberland, which is sort of northeast of England. There's big empty beaches. There's nobody up there. It's big, sort of expansive open beaches up there, and it's beautiful. I'm going with my other half. I mean, we're going as a bit of a group, but everybody else is kind of dropping in and dropping out and just doing a couple of nights. I'm going up with my other half, and we're going to do 5 nights. I'm okay with that. Probably 7 nights is probably my limit, really, before I want to go and get a proper wash and get cleaned. My other half, my partner, she's not camped more than 3 nights before, so that's going to be a little test. But we booked where, as Ade said, you kind of got to camp on campsites, certainly in England. There's no real wild camping, so we booked a site that accordingly has got facilities on it. So it's got a decent shower block. It's got hot water in in the washrooms and things, so that I know hopefully she'll be okay with 5 nights, because that's it's quite a jump to go from 3 nights to 5 nights when she's not a big camper. She's not been camping before the last couple of years when we got together, so it's still relatively new for her. She's loving it, but it's you got to kind of appreciate your own limits and not push somebody else to your limits, because I've been camping for years and my limits are kind of honed really of what I can do. But should be a good trip though, shouldn't it, Ade?
Oh, it should be. And, she should consider herself lucky that she's joining somebody that's got all of the gear. She doesn't have to go through those airbeds that, are very thin and go down halfway through the night. There's a fire in the tent. all of those things. You know, she's come in at sort of peak level, I think.
And she did enable me to buy a 4-meter bell tent as well, so that's why I've got the larger bell tent.
That's excellent. That's a perfect way to look at it. Yeah. So there's no. Here we call it crown land camping, where if it's technically it's owned by the people. The province wrangles it, but we own it, so we're allowed to camp pretty much anywhere for up to 28 days, and then you have to move it. We're actually just starting to. We've just planned a five night trip to a piece of crown land sometime in September. So should be interesting. We do. Pamela and I do front country camping most of the time, although she did do a 3-day last fall, and she's going to come out for the 5-day this September. I'm never adverse to having a shower. Like, you know, when the big kid and I are in the backcountry and we hit day 4, day 5, I'm going to try to be. I don't want people to be downwind of me. I don't.
Even the bears are turning away from you, going, "No, it's spoiled."
Exactly.
Spoiled me.
Even the mosquitoes are turning away.
Yeah, we don't really have crown land. What's that bit down in Cornwall, Devon area, Tim? Near is it Exmouth?
You're meaning Dartmoor. So
Dartmoor.
We've got national parks. We've got a number of national parks up and down the country, which are wild spaces that you have the right to roam on, so you can walk on. But there's only Dartmoor. There's only one national park that you can officially wild camp on, and only in certain areas. And actually, it's gone back to the High Court this week or last week to. Because Dartmoor is owned by somebody, and they're actually trying to get the right removed so that they can stop anybody from camping on it, which will be a real shame. It's come about because too many people have taken advantage of it, and they've not. We're big believers of leave no trace. You know, if you've taken it in, you should be bringing it back out with you. And sadly, too many people have taken disposable barbecues, set fire to half the land, and left lots of waste. And there are lots of wild animals on there, lots of grazing animals on there, and I'm not surprised that it's ended up in the courts to try and close it down. I think it's incredibly sad, really, particularly when north of the border in Scotland, they do have the right to roam. You can camp within reason wherever you want to, not in front of a farmer's house or anything like that, but you can pretty much camp wherever you want.
Yeah, you've got access to all of the beaches and things. I think in England there's only something like 1/3 of the waterways that are open to the public, so 2/3 of them are private. Whoever owns the land either side of them, then the river's theirs. So you can't go up and down the waterways. And they were going to.
Sorry, I was just going to say a lot of the rivers that you can go down the waterways, the land on either side is completely owned, and you can't get out of the river. So you're allowed to pass through the land, but not get out. So we're really quite restricted from that. Sorry, Ed, I jumped in.
No, I think a few years ago they were doing something about it. I think, and then one problem hit or another, whether that's cost of living crisis or whatever, and it just got put off the legal books, so they've not challenged it anymore. But yeah, I wish there was more free and open land for us to be able to do that, but we're dealing with a lot smaller spaces than I guess you are in Canada. For years I've been watching a guy called Joe Robinet. Just the way that he goes off into woodland, and I've always been very envious of that. The canoeing and portage that he does, just the wide open spaces that we do have, but there's there's just less of England than there is Canada. So
yeah, well, and I think there must be different laws. We've got, so you can't own a waterway in Canada, so you have passage. It's not an issue, and even if the land beside it is owned, there still has to be something, I'm going to get the term wrong, but there has to be something along the lines of fair passage, where if you need to get out of the water, you can get out of the water.
Wow.
And walk along the bank or whatever. You can't get cornered into things.
We went canoeing a couple of years ago now, just a day canoe trip down. We were camping and we kind of went upriver, and you got canoes, and then you spent the whole day canoeing back down to your camp. The big stretches of that where there were just lots of signs saying you cannot get out of the river here. This is private land. Do not get out of the river here. It's quite unfriendly, really. The river was beautiful, but and lots of signs where there's no fishing. You're not allowed to just set yourself up and start fishing or anything like that. That's true. Most rivers over here, their fishing rights are really. Somebody owns the fishing rights to every meter of every river, and you've got to pay them for the right to stand there and fish that bit of river. It's a different world.
Yeah.
It's a different world.
I think it goes back to sort of, is it feudal times, where there was whoever helped the king or whatever. So there's a lot of land that has been owned for generations by various people. So and it's just quite closed down. But yeah, it doesn't stop us getting out. There are some brilliant campsites. If anybody's thinking about coming to the UK, they certainly will find some beautiful, beautiful places. And Scotland, Wales. I've not been over in Ireland camping, but maybe we should do that soon. But yeah, there's some absolutely brilliant places, but it is about sort of those sites more than anything.
And there's a sort of rise of something over here. You probably don't have a need for it over there, but there's something called nearly wild here, which is a type of campground where they're trying to. It's a campsite, so you've got to pay to go and stay there, but it's quite basic. There's not a lot of facilities and things there, and they're trying to emulate sort of those wilder spaces where you can camp in a bit of long grass, and you can feel like you're on Dartmoor or in a national park, but you're actually not. And it's quite nice to see that that's quite a popular trend now. There's a lot of, campsites. Really growing. Yeah. So nearly wild is quite a big thing here in the UK, and it's certainly our preferred sort of campground is trying to get it to that sort of nearly wild kind of place that we have to go because of that's just what's available here in the UK. Not a big fan of going to a campsite that's got loads of facilities. There are sites where there's even entertainment on, and there's bars and things like that. That's not what we do. That's not what we're doing. Yeah. That's not what we're there for. It's I quite like a pub if it's quite like a pub down the road or something like that, but I don't want entertainment on the site or anything. It's to be honest, Ade and I we bring the entertainment.
Yes, yeah. Who would be bored when you've got things like Firefoot?
You guys have a thing for burning stuff. I don't know.
We did, yeah. Well, his alter ego is Pyro Ade. It's he set fire to our sister's Wendy house when I don't know how old you were, but I must have been about 2 when that thing went up. Yeah. So it's a
I didn't burn anything down, but I'm a child of the 70s. Both parents smoked, had lighters and all of the paraphernalia. I stole so many matches to just go and just light the matches. And so, yeah, I think it's just always been there. And camping is just a more acceptable way for me to be able to
go about setting fires.
And continue that. They frown upon it in the middle of Leamington Spa, where I am. So,
All right, gentlemen. I think that's an excellent way to end. Hopefully, you don't get in trouble from the authorities at any point. That was great. I don't. We could have you back again at some point. I'm sure we could continue just talking about the differences between your camping versus our camping.
Yeah.
That whole, you can't use the rivers. You can't you can't fish here. That's insane. Well, I don't know. It feels like we're the land of the free because we can do whatever.
You really are. You really are. I mean, we try not to talk about politics, but we're so restricted in this country. It's unbelievable. It's
and I think it's just that how our society has come about. People were gifted lands from helping the king and the various other things. It's not really changed. Those families still hold that land from 400, 500, 600 years ago, longer even. So there is a big movement to try and reclaim some of that. I think in the 1920s and 30s, Scotland had that, which is where their right to roam came along. People were taking back pathways and walkways, and they've got more access. And it was on the statute books to revisit for us, but then various other things have happened around the world, so it's just got forgotten about. But there is a movement to try and reclaim some of those and have some more open spaces where we can do. But we are a smaller country and there's quite a lot of people in our bit, so it's trying to maintain it as best as they can, I think.
Yeah. Well,
I think Canada again.
It's the yes, you should come visit. Make sure you give us a holler. We have canoes and stuff. We'll get you out there. We'll take you fishing because you can do that here.
Good. Yeah.
That's it for us for today. Thank you so much to our guests, Tim and Ade from Casual Camping Podcast. Please do check them out. They are on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, and Buzzsprout, which is the same host as we use for our podcast.
Check out their group on Facebook. It's awesome. It really is.
And to check us out while you're there on Facebook, check us out on all those things too. And otherwise, we'll talk to you again soon. If you would like to talk to us, our email address is hi@supergoodcamping.com. That's hi@supergoodcamping.com. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.